Junho Park was reviewing contracts in his Portland hotel when a child's panicked voice shattered his night. "My mum's bleeding and won't wake up. Please help." And even though it was the wrong number, even though he had a 7 a.m. meeting that could make or break his company's American expansion, something made him drop everything and race to save them. That decision led him to Diana, a struggling single mother he couldn't stop thinking about. And when his powerful Seoul family found out 3 months later that their arranged marriage heir was in love with an African-American waitress and her daughter, they sent him one message: "Come home and marry who we chose, or we'll make sure Diana and Ruby pay the price for his rebellion." And now he had 72 hours to decide if love was worth losing everything he'd spent his life building. Subscribe now, ladies, because what Junho does next will either restore your faith in love or break your heart. And you need to see which one it is. The phone rang at exactly 11:47 p.m., shattering the silence of Junho Park's hotel suite in downtown Portland. He'd been reviewing contracts for tomorrow's merger, his third cup of coffee growing cold beside him. The number on the screen wasn't one he recognized, not his office, not his assistant, not the board members waiting back in Seoul. He almost didn't answer. "Hello?" His voice carried the slight accent that made American businessmen underestimate him, a mistake they only made once. "Please." A child's voice, high and breaking. "Please, my mum won't wake up. I don't know what to do. Please help me." Junho's entire body went rigid. "Slow down. Take a breath. Tell me what happened. She was making dinner and then she fell down and now she won't open her eyes." The little girl was sobbing now, words tumbling over each other. "I tried shaking her, but she won't wake up. There's blood on her head. I'm scared. I'm so scared." His heart slammed against his ribs. This wasn't his problem. He should hang up. Let the child figure out she'd dialed wrong. He had a 7 a.m. meeting that could make or break his company's expansion into the American market. Sleep was already a luxury he couldn't afford. But something in that terrified voice grabbed him by the throat and wouldn't let go. "Listen to me very carefully," he said, already grabbing his jacket with his free hand. "What's your name?" "Ruby." "Ruby, you're very brave for calling. I need you to tell me your address. Can you do that?" She rattled off an address in southeast Portland. Junho was already pulling up his other phone, fingers flying across the screen as he dialed 911 on his second device. He kept Ruby on the first line, his voice steady and calm, even as he gave the emergency operator the information. "Is she breathing, Ruby? Put your hand near her mouth. Do you feel air?" "I think so." "Yes, it's slow though." "Good. That's good. Help is coming right now. I promise you, they're coming." He was in the elevator now, then striding through the hotel lobby. The valet looked startled as Junho barked his room number and demanded his car immediately. "Stay with me. Okay. Don't hang up. Who are you?" Ruby's voice was small. "My name is Junho, and I'm not going anywhere until I know you're safe." He broke every speed limit getting to southeast Portland, Ruby's sniffling breaths his only companion. The neighbourhood was rough, chain-link fences, bars on windows, the kind of place where people minded their business. The ambulance was already there when he pulled up, lights painting the building in red and blue. Junho took the stairs 2 at a time to the 3rd floor. The apartment door was open, paramedics working quickly over a woman on the kitchen floor. She was young, too young to have a 10-year-old daughter, he thought distantly. Dark hair spread around her head like a halo, one side matted with blood. Even unconscious, even injured, she was beautiful in a way that made his chest tighten. "Ruby!" he called out. A little girl with her mother's dark hair peeked out from behind the couch, tears streaming down her face. She looked at him with wide, desperate eyes. "Junho?" Something cracked open inside his chest. He crossed the room and knelt beside her. "I'm here, just like I promised." She threw herself at him, tiny arms wrapping around his neck. He froze for a heartbeat. He didn't do this, didn't know how to comfort crying children, but then his arms came up automatically, holding her while she sobbed against his shoulder. "Sir, are you family?" one of the paramedics asked. Junho looked up, still holding Ruby. The word "no" was on his tongue, but what came out was, "I'm with them. How is she?" "Possible concussion, dehydration, exhaustion. We need to get her to the hospital now. Is there someone who can watch the child?" Ruby's grip on him tightened until it hurt. "Don't leave me. Please don't leave me too." Every logical part of Junho's brain screamed at him to walk away. He didn't know these people. He had responsibilities, obligations, an empire waiting for his decisions. His family back in Seoul would be furious if they knew he was even here, in this run-down apartment, making promises to strangers. "I'll follow the ambulance," he heard himself say. "Ruby stays with me." At the hospital, he sat in the waiting room, with Ruby curled against his side, finally asleep after exhausting herself with worry. The receptionist had tried to send them away. No family, no admittance. But one look at Junho's face and a credit card placed firmly on the desk had changed her tune. He'd already paid for everything. The private room, the best doctors, whatever it took. He didn't know why. Couldn't explain it if someone asked. When they finally let him see her, dawn was breaking outside the windows. The woman, Diana, the nurses said, was awake but groggy. Her eyes found him immediately, brown and confused and still beautiful despite the hospital gown and the bandage on her temple. "Who are you?" Her voice was hoarse. "Where's Ruby?" "She's safe. She's sleeping in the waiting room." He stayed by the door, hands in his pockets to keep from reaching out to brush that strand of hair from her face. "She called me by accident. I came." Diana tried to sit up, winced. "You came? Why would you?" She looked around the room, taking in the private setup, the monitors, and her eyes went wide. "Oh, God! How much does this cost? I don't have insurance that covers." "It's handled." "What do you mean it's handled?" Her voice rose, panic threading through it. "I don't even know you. I can't accept." "Then don't think of it as accepting. Think of it as—" He paused, something shifting in his chest as he looked at her. This fierce, proud woman who'd rather argue from a hospital bed than accept help. Think of it as the beginning of something neither of us saw coming. Diana stared at him, and the air between them changed, charged, electric, like the moment before lightning strikes when every hair on your body stands up in warning. "I don't understand," she whispered. "Neither do I." Junho stepped closer, drawn by something he couldn't name. "But I think we're going to figure it out together." Her breath caught, and for a moment, the whole world narrowed to just the two of them. A stranger who'd raced through the night for her daughter. A woman who'd collapsed from exhaustion trying to survive. Two people whose lives had collided in a phone call that should never have connected. "What's your name?" Diana asked softly. "Junho Park, Diana." She reached out her hand, and when he took it, both of them felt the spark. "Thank you for saving my daughter's life. Maybe she saved mine," he said, and meant it more than he'd ever meant anything. Neither of them knew that this moment, this impossible chance encounter, was about to destroy and rebuild everything they thought they knew about their futures. Neither of them knew that walking away was already impossible. The hook was set, and both of them were about to get pulled under. Diana was released from the hospital 2 days later, against the doctor's wishes, but with her stubborn insistence. She had shifts to cover, bills that wouldn't pay themselves, and a daughter who needed her. What she didn't expect was Junho Park waiting in the lobby with Ruby, both of them holding coffee cups. Hot chocolate for Ruby, something that smelled expensive for her. "You're still here?" The words came out sharper than she intended, but the sight of him made her stomach flip in a way that felt dangerous. He stood, and God, he was tall, broader than she'd remembered through her medication haze. His suit probably cost more than 3 months of her rent, perfectly tailored to shoulders that looked like they could carry the world. Dark eyes tracked her movement as she approached, and there was something in that gaze that made her skin heat. "Mom!" Ruby crashed into her legs, and Diana hugged her daughter tight, breathing in the scent of her shampoo. "Hey baby, I'm okay. I promise I'm okay. Mr. Park took me for pancakes," Ruby said, looking up at him with something close to worship. "And he helped me with my homework. He's really smart, Mum." Diana's jaw tightened. She met Junho's eyes over Ruby's head. "Can we talk? Privately?" He nodded, said something gentle to Ruby about waiting right there, and followed Diana to a quiet corner near the hospital chapel. She whirled on him the moment they were alone. "I can't pay you back." The words tasted like ash. "Whatever you spent on the hospital, the room, the doctors, I can't pay it back. Not now. Probably not ever. I work 3 jobs and I still barely make rent." Junho leaned against the wall, hands in his pockets, watching her with an intensity that made her want to run or move closer. She couldn't decide which. "I don't want you to pay me back. Everyone wants something." Diana crossed her arms, a defensive barrier. "So what is it? What do you want?" His eyes dropped to her mouth, just for a second, but she caught it, felt it like a physical touch. When he looked back up, there was heat there that made her breath catch. "Have dinner with me. Tomorrow night." She laughed, sharp and bitter. "Are you serious? You think I'm going to—" "What? Sleep with you because you paid my hospital bill? I'm not that desperate." Something flashed in his expression. Anger, maybe, or hurt. "Is that really what you think of me? I don't know you." But even as she said it, she was remembering his voice on the phone, steady and calm while her world fell apart. The way he'd held Ruby in the waiting room, how he'd looked at Diana like she was something precious instead of something broken. "I don't know what you want from us." Junho stepped closer, and Diana's back hit the wall. He didn't touch her, but he was close enough that she could smell his cologne, something dark and expensive that made her head spin, close enough to see the flecks of gold in his brown eyes. "I want to have dinner with a woman who works herself to exhaustion for her daughter," he said quietly, "who collapsed in her kitchen from dehydration because she gave Ruby the last of the orange juice, who woke up in a hospital and immediately started worrying about money instead of her own health." His voice dropped lower. "I want to know why someone so strong thinks she has to carry everything alone." Diana's heart was hammering. "You investigated me. The hospital needed information. Your landlord was very chatty." He still hadn't touched her, but she felt surrounded by him, overwhelmed. 3 jobs, diner waitress, night cleaning crew, weekend retail. Ruby stays with your neighbour, Mrs. Chen, when you work nights. You're 2 months behind on rent. Your car died 3 weeks ago, so you take 2 buses to get to work. You haven't bought yourself new clothes in over a year. Shame burned through her, hot and acidic. "Stop." "Why?" His hand came up, fingertips barely grazing her jaw. That small touch sent electricity racing down her spine. "Why does it embarrass you that you're remarkable?" "I'm not," her voice broke. "I'm failing at everything. I can barely feed my daughter. I passed out making spaghetti. That's not remarkable. That's pathetic. That's survival." His thumb traced her cheekbone, feather light. "And I'm offering you a way out." Diana's breath caught. "What?" Junho stepped back, giving her space to breathe again. All business now, like that moment of intimacy had been her imagination. I need a personal assistant, someone who knows Portland, who can help me navigate American business culture for the next 6 months. Someone organised, hard-working and capable of thinking on their feet. His lips curved slightly. Someone who yells at strangers in hospital corridors. You're offering me a job. She couldn't process it. Why? Because you need one. Because Ruby needs her mother healthy and present. Because... He paused, something raw crossing his face. Because when your daughter called me, terrified and alone, and I heard your voice in the background, unconscious on that floor, something in me broke. I can't explain it. I don't understand it. But I know I can't walk away from this. From you. The honesty in his voice shook her. Diana pressed her palms against the wall behind her, needing the solid support. What's the salary? He named a figure that made her knees weak. 6 months of that would clear her debts, get them into a better apartment, maybe even let her finally enroll in the community college classes she'd been dreaming about. That's insane, she whispered. That's more than I make in a year. It's market rate for executive assistants in my company. Bull. She laughed shakily. What's the catch? And don't say there isn't one. Nobody offers that kind of money without strings. Junho met her eyes steadily. The catch is that you'll be working directly with me. Long hours, sometimes late nights. Business dinners, travel possibly. You'll see me more than you see anyone else. He moved closer again, and this time when he spoke, his voice was rough velvet. And we'll have to pretend that we don't feel this thing between us, this pull, because I don't mix business with personal and you don't trust easily. Can you do that, Diana? Can you work beside me every day and keep it professional? Her name in his mouth sounded like a prayer and a curse. Diana looked at him, really looked, at the expensive suit that couldn't hide the muscle underneath, the sharp jaw and full lips. The way he looked at her like he was starving and she was a feast he wouldn't let himself taste. She should say no. Every instinct screamed danger. What about Ruby? She asked instead. There's an excellent private school near my hotel, full scholarship for employees' children, after-school program until 6 p.m. He'd thought of everything, planned for her daughter's needs before his own. What kind of man did that? I need to think about it, she managed. Of course. Junho pulled out his phone, typed something, and hers buzzed in her pocket. He must have gotten her number from the hospital. I'm staying at the Heathman Hotel, Suite 2404. Call me when you decide. He started to walk away, then turned back. Diana, for what it's worth, I hope you say yes. Not because I need an assistant, but because I think you're going to change my life, and I'm terrified of what happens if you walk away. He left her there, back against the wall, heart racing, body humming with an awareness she hadn't felt in years, maybe ever. That night, after Ruby was asleep, Diana stood at her apartment window, looking out at the city lights. She could say no. Keep grinding through her 3 jobs. Keep surviving by her fingernails. Keep safe. Or she could say yes to the stranger who'd driven through the night for her daughter, the man whose touch had lit her skin on fire, the one who looked at her like she was worth something more than survival. Her phone was in her hand before she made a conscious decision. I'll take the job. When do I start? His response came 30 seconds later. Tomorrow. And Diana, thank you for trusting me. She stared at those words until her vision blurred. Trust. As if she had any left to give. But God help her. She wanted to try. 3 weeks into working for Junho Park, Diana realised she was in serious trouble. It started innocently enough. Morning meetings over coffee where he actually listened to her ideas. Afternoon calls with investors, where he'd catch her eye across the conference room, and she'd have to bite back a smile at his subtle eye roll when someone said something ridiculous. The way he remembered Ruby's school schedule without being asked, adjusting meetings so Diana could make pickup time. But then came the late nights. The first one happened almost by accident. A merger contract that needed review before a morning deadline. Just the two of them in his penthouse suite in Seattle, where they'd travelled for meetings. Diana sat on the leather couch with papers spread around her while Junho worked at his desk. Jacket discarded, sleeves rolled up to reveal forearms that had no business being that distracting. "This clause doesn't make sense," she said, frowning at the legal language. "They're basically asking you to give up decision-making power." Junho looked up, something like pride warming his expression. "You caught that?" My lawyers in Seoul missed it. Your lawyers in Seoul aren't reading at midnight after 5 cups of coffee. But she smiled, pleased. He stood, stretched, and Diana's mouth went dry, watching the way his shirt pulled across his chest. He crossed to the couch, sat beside her, close enough that their thighs almost touched, and leaned in to read over her shoulder. "Show me," he murmured, and his breath ghosted across her neck. Diana's hand trembled slightly as she pointed to the paragraph. "Here. And here. They've buried the language, but it's there." "Clever." His voice was low, appreciative. "You're good at this. Better than good." She turned her head to respond and found his face inches from hers, close enough to see the faint scar above his eyebrow, close enough to count his eyelashes, close enough to lean forward and Diana shot to her feet, papers scattering. "I should go. It's late. Ruby's with Mrs. Chen, but I don't like to—" "Diana." Junho stood slowly, and there was something predatory in the movement that made her pulse spike. "Why do you do that?" "Do what?" "Run. Every time we get close to something real." Her laugh was shaky. "There's nothing to run from. This is a job. You're my boss." "Is that what I am?" He stepped closer, and she stepped back. A dangerous dance. Because when you laugh at something I say, I forget about contracts and mergers. When you bite your lip thinking about a problem, I forget my own name. When you look at me like you're looking at me right now, stop. Her back hit the window. Please stop. Why? He was close now, hands braced on the glass on either side of her head, caging her in without touching her. Tell me you don't feel this. Tell me I'm imagining the way you look at me when you think I'm not watching. Diana's chest heaved. She couldn't do this. Couldn't want him this badly. You'll leave. In 6 months, you'll go back to Seoul and your real life, and Ruby and I will be exactly what we've always been. Alone. Something cracked in his expression. Is that what you think? That you're just a diversion? Aren't I? She forced the words out. Rich, powerful CEO, struggling single mother. I've read enough books to know how this story ends. Junho's jaw clenched. He stepped back, giving her space, and the loss of his heat felt like punishment. Get your coat. I'll drive you home. They didn't speak in the elevator, didn't speak in the car. The silence was thick with everything unsaid. Everything they both wanted but couldn't reach for. When he pulled up to her building, Diana's hand was on the door handle when his voice stopped her. My family has arranged my marriage. The words were flat, emotionless. To the daughter of my father's business partner. It's been decided since I was 23. Ice flooded Diana's veins. Oh, I've been avoiding it for 6 years. Coming to America was partially business, partially escape. He stared straight ahead, hands tight on the steering wheel. But they're getting impatient. When I go back to Seoul, they'll expect me to set a date. Then I guess it's good we didn't. Diana couldn't finish the sentence. Yes. His voice was rough. Good. She got out of the car, and neither of them said goodbye. For 3 days, things were painfully professional. Junho was polite, but distant. Diana threw herself into work, staying busy, not thinking about the way his eyes had looked at her in that moment before he'd pulled away. Then came the rainy evening that changed everything. They were back in Seattle, reviewing presentations in his penthouse. Rain hammered against the floor-to-ceiling windows, the city lights blurred and soft beyond the glass. Diana had been quiet all afternoon, distracted. "What's wrong?" Junho finally asked, setting down his tablet. "Nothing. I'm fine, Diana." He waited until she looked at him. "Talk to me." Maybe it was the rain. Maybe it was the exhaustion. Maybe it was knowing that whatever this was between them had an expiration date. So what did it matter if she was honest? "Ruby asked about her father today," Diana said quietly. She wanted to know why he left, what she did wrong. Junho went very still. "What did you tell her?" "That she did nothing wrong. That some people aren't capable of love, and that's their failure, not hers." Diana's voice cracked. "But how do I explain that her father took one look at her after she was born and decided we weren't worth staying for? That he didn't want the responsibility, the mess, the reality of a family?" "Diana, I was 22, pregnant and terrified, and he said..." She pressed her hands to her face. "He said I'd trapped him, that he never wanted kids, that I'd ruined his life." The tears came then, hot and ashamed, and maybe he was right. Maybe I did trap him. Maybe I was selfish, wanting to keep her when I knew he didn't want. Junho was across the room in 3 strides. His hands cupped her face, thumbs wiping away tears. Don't you dare blame yourself for his cowardice." "I should have known better, should have chosen better." "You were 22. His voice was fierce, and he was a fool who walked away from the 2 most remarkable people I've ever met. Diana looked up at him, vision blurred with tears, and something in his expression stole her breath. There was fury there, yes, but also tenderness, protectiveness, want. "Junho," she whispered. His thumb traced her lower lip, and she felt that touch everywhere. "Tell me to stop. I can't. Tell me this is a mistake." "It is." Her hands fisted in his shirt, pulling him closer even as she said it. "It's a terrible mistake." "Then tell me you don't want this." His forehead pressed against hers, their mouths a breath apart. "Tell me you don't think about what it would feel like, my hands on your skin, your body under mine, the sounds you'd make when I..." Diana kissed him. It wasn't gentle, wasn't sweet. It was 3 weeks of denial and want and hunger crashing together. His hands tightened on her face, and she made a sound against his mouth that was half gasp, half plea. He walked her backward until her back hit the wall, his body pressing against hers, and God, she could feel every hard inch of him. "Diana." Her name was a groan against her lips. "We can't..." "I know." She pulled him back down, kissing him harder. "I know, I know, I know." His hands slid down her, sides gripping her hips, and she wrapped her leg around his waist, desperate to get closer. He made a rough sound in his throat and ground against her, and Diana gasped at the friction, at the heat, at the way her body responded to him like it had been waiting for this her entire life. Junho broke the kiss, breathing hard, his lips moving to her jaw, her throat. "Tell me to stop. I'll stop right now if you tell me to." Diana's head fell back against the wall, giving him access. "Don't you dare!" His teeth scraped the sensitive skin where her neck met her shoulder, and she whimpered, "I want you." The words were rough against her skin. "I want you so badly I can't think straight. But if we do this, Diana, if we cross this line..." Reality crashed back in. His arranged marriage, her job, Ruby. all the reasons this was impossible. Diana pushed against his chest, and Junho stepped back immediately, his chest heaving, eyes dark with desire and frustration. "I can't," she whispered. "I can't be another mistake. Can't give Ruby another person to lose. You wouldn't be. In 6 months, you leave. Back to Seoul, back to your fiancé, back to your real life, and I'll be the American assistant you almost slept with." The words tasted bitter. "I can't do that. I won't." Junho's hands clenched at his sides. "What if I don't go back?" Her laugh was broken. "You will. Family and duty and honour. You've told me how important those things are to you. You'll go back because that's who you are. And if I choose differently, you won't." Diana grabbed her bag, needing to leave before she did something stupid, like beg him to choose her. "I'll see you tomorrow. We have the meeting at 9. "Diana, wait." But she was already gone, leaving him standing in his penthouse with the taste of her still on his lips and the knowledge that they'd just destroyed any chance of keeping things professional. Outside, rain soaked through her jacket as she waited for her rideshare. Diana pressed her fingers to her mouth, still feeling the ghost of his kiss. She was falling, had already fallen, and there was no safety net waiting to catch her. The San Francisco trip wasn't supposed to mean anything, just a weekend meeting with West Coast investors, and Junho had casually mentioned that Diana should bring Ruby, make a vacation of it, he'd said, his treat. Diana should have said no, should have recognised the danger in playing house with a man she was desperately trying not to love. But Ruby's face when she heard about San Francisco, the Golden Gate Bridge, Fisherman's Wharf, cable cars, made it impossible to refuse. So here they were on Saturday afternoon, the three of them walking through Golden Gate Park like a real family. Junho had Ruby on his shoulders, her delighted laughter ringing out as he pretended to almost drop her. Diana walked beside them, her phone full of pictures she knew she'd torture herself with later. "Mom, look!" Ruby pointed at the Japanese tea garden. "Can we go in, please?" "Of course." Junho was already heading toward the entrance, pulling out his wallet. "You don't have to pay for everything," Diana protested quietly. He looked at her, something soft in his expression. "I know. I want to." Inside the garden, Ruby ran ahead to look at the koi pond. Junho's hand found Diana's, fingers threading through hers, and she let herself have it. "Just for today, just this once. She's happy," he said, watching Ruby. "She loves you." Diana's voice was barely above a whisper. "She talks about you constantly. Mr. Park this, Mr. Park that. You've become her hero." His grip on her hand tightened. "And what have I become to you?" Diana looked up at him, at this man who'd somehow become essential in just 6 weeks. Something dangerous. "Good." He pulled her closer, his thumb stroking the inside of her wrist. "Because you've become the most dangerous thing that's ever happened to me." That evening, after a day of tourist adventures, Ruby crashed hard. They'd gotten a 2-bedroom suite, separate rooms, Diana had insisted, and Ruby fell asleep during the movie they'd been watching, curled against Junho's side. "I'll put her to bed," Diana whispered. But Junho was already standing, lifting Ruby easily into his arms. Diana watched him carry her daughter to the bedroom, watched him tuck the blankets around her with a gentleness that made her chest ache. When he returned to the living room, she was standing on the balcony, arms wrapped around herself against the cool evening air. "Wine?" he asked, and she nodded. He poured 2 glasses from the bottle he'd ordered earlier, then joined her outside. The Golden Gate Bridge stretched before them, lit up against the dark water, breathtaking and impossibly romantic. "Thank you for today," Diana said softly. "Ruby won't stop talking about this for months." "What about you?" Junho moved closer, his shoulder brushing hers. What will you talk about? How we pretended. She took a sip of wine, needing the courage. How for one day we got to play at being something we can't have. Why can't we have it? Diana turned to face him. You know why. Your family, your responsibilities. I called my father yesterday. Junho's voice was quiet but firm. Told him I'm not going through with the marriage. The wine glass almost slipped from Diana's fingers. What? I can't marry someone else when I'm in love with you. The world tilted. Junho, I know it's fast. I know it's crazy. I know every logical reason this shouldn't work. He set down his wine, took hers and set it aside too, then pulled her close. But I'm in love with you, Diana, with your strength and your stubbornness and the way you make me laugh, with how you love Ruby with everything you have, with the way you look at me like I'm worth something more than my bank account. Diana's heart was hammering. You can't just. Your family will disown you. Your company. I'm restructuring, setting up an American division I can run from here. His hands cupped her face. I'm staying, Diana. Not for 6 months. Not temporarily. I'm staying. For me? Her voice broke. You'd give up everything for me. No. He pressed his forehead to hers. I'd be giving up duty and obligation and a life that was never really mine. What I'm choosing is you, us, the life we could build together. Diana's hands fisted in his shirt. What if it doesn't work? What if you wake up one day and regret? The only thing I'll regret is if I let you go. His thumb traced her cheekbone. Tell me you don't feel this. Tell me I'm alone in this and I'll back off. I'll finish out the contract and leave and never bother you again. I can't. Tears burned her eyes. I can't tell you that, because it would be a lie. Then what are you so afraid of? Everything. The word was a sob. I'm afraid of how much I need you, how much Ruby needs you. I'm afraid you'll realise we're not worth the sacrifice. I'm afraid of being left again, and this time it'll destroy me because you... Her voice cracked. You made me believe in this. In us. Junho kissed her tears away, gentle brushes of his lips against her wet cheeks. I'm not him. I'm not your ex-husband who ran when things got hard. I'm the man who's choosing you every single day. Prove it, Diana whispered. His eyes darkened. How? Instead of answering, she pulled him down into a kiss, not like the desperate, fighting kiss in his penthouse weeks ago. This was different, deeper. A promise and a surrender all at once. Junho made a low sound in his throat and hauled her closer, one hand tangling in her hair, the other gripping her hip hard enough to bruise. Diana gasped against his mouth, and he took advantage, his tongue sliding against hers in a way that made her knees weak. Inside, she managed when they broke for air. Ruby is asleep. But he was already walking her backward into the suite, kicking the balcony door closed behind them. Tell me if you want to stop. Don't stop. Diana pulled his shirt free from his pants, her hands finding bare skin. Don't you dare stop. They made it to his bedroom door, before Junho pressed her against the wall, his mouth on her throat, his hands everywhere. Diana arched into him, gasping when his teeth scraped that sensitive spot below her ear. Do you know how many nights I've imagined this? His voice was rough velvet. How you'd taste, how you'd sound, the way you'd feel wrapped around me. Show me. Her hands were working at his belt, desperate. Show me everything. Junho lifted her, and Diana wrapped her legs around his waist as he carried her to the bed. He laid her down carefully, following her down, covering her body with his. The weight of him, the heat, it was overwhelming and not nearly enough. You're wearing too many clothes, Diana breathed, tugging at his shirt. He sat back, yanked it over his head, and Diana's mouth went dry. She'd known he was built, had felt those muscles under tailored suits, but seeing him like this, golden skin stretched over hard plains, was something else entirely. Your turn. His hands found the hem of her blouse, and she lifted her arms, letting him pull it free. His eyes tracked over her, dark with hunger. You're so beautiful it hurts to look at you. Then, his mouth was on her skin, her collarbone, the swell of her breast above her bra, down her stomach, and Diana stopped thinking entirely. There was only sensation, only pleasure, only the feeling of his hands and mouth learning every inch of her. Junho! She gasped when his fingers found the button of her jeans. Please, please, what? He looked up at her, eyes wicked. Tell me what you want. You. All of you. Now. He stripped her jeans away, then his own, and when he settled between her thighs, Diana had never felt more exposed or more desperate. I love you, he said, and kissed her slowly, deeply, as his body pressed into hers. Diana cried out, her back arching, hands clutching at his shoulders. It was too much and not enough, pleasure bordering on pain, the feeling of being completely filled and utterly claimed. Junho moved slowly at first, letting her adjust, but Diana wasn't having it. She wrapped her legs tighter around him, urging him deeper, faster. Diana! His control was slipping. She could see it in the tight line of his jaw, the tension in his shoulders. Don't hold back, she whispered against his ear. I won't break. Something snapped. His rhythm turned demanding, almost rough, and Diana met him thrust for thrust, chasing the pleasure building between them. His mouth found hers, swallowing her gasps and moans. His hand slipped between them, fingers finding that perfect spot, and Diana shattered. She came apart in waves, crying out his name, and Junho followed seconds later, burying his face in her neck as his body shuddered against hers. For long moments they lay tangled together, hearts hammering, breathing ragged. Junho rolled to his side, pulling Diana against him, pressing kisses to her temple, her cheek, her shoulder. This can only be temporary, Diana whispered, even as her body moulded perfectly to his. Junho's arms tightened around her. No, this is forever. I'm not letting you go. Your family will adjust, or they won't. Either way, you're mine now. He tilted her face up to kiss her softly. And I'm yours, completely. No expiration date, no going back. Diana wanted to argue, to list all the reasons this couldn't work, but lying in his arms, feeling safer and more wanted than she'd ever felt in her life, the arguments died on her tongue. I love you, she said instead. God help me, I love you. Then let me love you back. His hand stroked down her spine. Let me be what Ruby needs, what you need. Let me stay. Outside, the Golden Gate Bridge glittered in the darkness. Inside, two people who'd found each other by accident held on tight, choosing each other despite every obstacle. The point of no return had passed, and neither of them wanted to go back. 3 months after San Francisco, Diana woke up in Junho's Seattle penthouse, with his arm draped possessively across her waist and Ruby's laughter drifting from the kitchen. He was teaching her to make Korean pancakes, something that had become their Sunday morning ritual. Diana stretched, her body pleasantly sore in all the right places. Last night, after Ruby had gone to bed, Junho had backed her against the kitchen counter, with hunger in his eyes and possession in his touch. They'd barely made it to the bedroom. She was pulling on his shirt, her favourite thing to wear around the apartment, when she heard his phone ring. The tone was different, the one he'd assigned to his father. Diana froze in the bedroom doorway. Through the partially open door, she could see Junho's expression change as he answered, speaking rapid Korean. His voice started calm, but quickly escalated, sharp and defensive. Ruby looked up from her pancake, worried. Is Mr. Park okay? He's fine, baby. Just a work call. Diana moved to distract her daughter, but she couldn't stop listening to the one-sided conversation, couldn't stop watching the way Junho's jaw clenched, the way his free hand fisted at his side. The call lasted 15 brutal minutes. When he hung up, Junho stood perfectly still, staring at his phone like it was a bomb. Junho? Diana approached carefully. He turned, and the devastation in his eyes made her stomach drop. "We need to talk. After breakfast." Those 4 words killed something inside her. An hour later, Ruby was absorbed in her tablet with headphones on. Junho sat across from Diana at the dining table, and the distance felt infinite. "My father knows about us," he said quietly. "Someone sent him photos. You and me in San Francisco, Ruby on my shoulders, us kissing outside that restaurant last week." Diana's blood ran cold. "What does that mean?" "He's demanding I return to Seoul immediately. The engagement to Sun-hee." He rubbed his face. "Her family is threatening to pull out of a major deal if I don't honour the arrangement. We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars, thousands of jobs." "So, you're leaving?" The words tasted like ash. "I don't want to." "But you are." It wasn't a question. Junho reached for her hand, but Diana pulled back. "Diana, please. I need time to figure this out, to make them understand." "Understand what?" "That you fell in love with your American assistant and her daughter. That you want to throw away your family legacy for us." Her laugh was bitter. "I told you this would happen. I told you they'd make you choose. And I choose you." He stood circling the table. "But I can't just walk away without trying to find a compromise. My family's company employs 15,000 people. If this deal falls through..." "So, it's about money. It's about responsibility." His voice hardened. "Something I know you understand. Would you abandon Ruby if someone told you to choose between her and something else?" The comparison stung because it was accurate. Diana stood, putting more distance between them. "How long?" 2 weeks, maybe 3. "I'll go to Seoul, talk to my father face to face, make him see that..." "That what?" "That we're worth the sacrifice." Diana wrapped her arms around herself. "What if you get there and realise we're not? What if you see Sun-hee and remember why your family chose her? What if..." "Stop." Junho grabbed her shoulders. "That won't happen. You don't know that." Tears burned her eyes. "And I can't sit here waiting for you to decide if we're worth fighting for. I won't do that to myself. I won't do that to Ruby." "What are you saying?" Diana pulled free of his grip. "I'm saying that maybe this was always going to end this way. You go back to your world, and Ruby and I go back to ours." "No." His voice cracked. "Diana, no. That's not what's happening here. Isn't it?" She was crying now, unable to stop. 3 months ago, I knew better. I knew this would end, but you made me believe. Her voice broke. "You made me believe in forever, and I was stupid enough to trust it." "You're not stupid, and this isn't over." "Then prove it." Diana wiped her tears angrily. "Don't get on that plane. Choose us right now, today." The silence stretched between them like a chasm. "I have to go," Junho finally said. "Not because I want to, but because I owe my family a chance to understand. I owe 15,000 employees who depend on my company for their livelihoods. But I'm coming back, Diana. I swear to you, I'm coming back." "Don't!" The word was barely a whisper. "Don't make promises you might not keep." He reached for her again, but Diana stepped back. "I need to think. Ruby and I are going back to Portland, today, Diana. Go to Seoul. Have your meeting. Make your choice." She looked at him, memorising every line of his face. "But don't expect us to be waiting when you get back." The flight to Seoul was the longest 13 hours of Junho's life. He'd left Diana and Ruby at the penthouse, had watched Diana pack their things with mechanical precision, while Ruby cried, not understanding why they were leaving. "Is it because of the phone call?" Ruby had asked him, her small face devastated. "Did I do something wrong?" Junho had knelt down, pulling her into a hug. "You did nothing wrong. You're perfect. This is grown-up stuff, okay? But I promise..." "Don't promise her things you might not deliver," Diana had cut in, her voice ice. Now, staring out the plane window at the dark Pacific Ocean below, Junho replayed that moment. The way Diana had looked at him, like he'd already betrayed her. Maybe he had. His phone buzzed with a message from Diana. His heart leapt until he read it. "I quit. I've transferred all your files to your sole assistant. Good luck with everything. No, I love you. No, come back to me." Just a clean, professional severance. Junho tried calling. It went straight to voicemail. He tried again. Same result. By the third attempt, he understood. She'd blocked him. In Seoul, his father waited at the family estate with Sun-hee and her parents. The woman he was supposed to marry was beautiful, accomplished, perfect on paper. She was also a stranger who looked at him with polite interest and nothing more. "You've embarrassed this family," his father said in Korean, his voice cold. "Playing house with some American woman and her bastard child." Junho's hands clenched into fists. "Don't speak about them that way." "I'll speak however I want, about the people who nearly destroyed a billion-dollar deal." His father poured himself whiskey. "You will marry Sun-hee. You will take over as CEO. You will forget about this American distraction. She's not a distraction. I love her." His father laughed, sharp and cruel. "Love? You sound like a teenager. This is business, Junho. This is legacy. Your grandfather built this company from nothing. Your mother and I have grown it into an empire. And you want to throw it all away for what? A waitress with baggage. She's more than you'll ever understand." "Then make me understand." His father leaned forward. "Explain to me how this woman is worth 15,000 jobs, worth your family's respect, worth everything we've built." Junho opened his mouth, closed it, because how could he explain Diana to someone who measured worth in dollars? How could he describe the way she made him laugh, made him want to be better, made him feel like more than just a CEO? How could he quantify Ruby's trust, her love, the way she'd started calling him Dad when she thought he couldn't hear? "That's what I thought," his father said. "You'll marry Sun-hee in 3 months. The engagement will be announced tomorrow." That night, alone in his childhood bedroom, Junho tried calling Diana again. Still blocked. He tried emailing. No response. He called her neighbour, Mrs. Chen, who answered but said Diana had asked her not to give him any information. "She's hurting," Mrs. Chen said quietly. "That girl loved you, really loved you, and you left. I'm trying to fix this, to make it right for everyone. Sometimes you can't make everyone happy, Mr. Park. Sometimes you have to choose." She hung up. For 2 weeks, Junho went through the motions, met with Sun-hee over formal dinners, where they discussed business strategy and nothing personal, sat through meetings about the engagement party, the wedding venue, the merger details, smiled for photos that would announce his engagement to the Korean press. Every night, he stared at pictures of Diana on his phone, Diana laughing, Diana with Ruby, Diana in his bed, sleep soft and beautiful, looking at him like he was her whole world. He'd destroyed that, had made her believe in forever, and then gotten on a plane. In Portland, Diana wasn't doing any better. She'd moved back to her old apartment, picked up shifts at the diner again. Ruby cried herself to sleep, asking for Junho. Diana's own pillow was damp every morning. She'd seen the news articles, the engagement announcement, photos of Junho with Sun-hee, both of them looking perfect together. It shouldn't hurt this much. She'd known how this would end. But knowing and surviving were different things. Mom. Ruby appeared in her doorway, clutching the stuffed panda Junho had won her at the fair. Is he coming back? Diana's heart shattered all over again. No, baby, I don't think so. Did he stop loving us? No. That much Diana knew was true. She'd seen his face when he'd left. But sometimes love isn't enough. On day 14, Junho stood in his father's office with an envelope in his hand. Inside was his resignation, his refusal of the marriage, his choice. If I sign this, his father said, not even looking at the papers, you'll have nothing. No company, no family, no legacy. I'll have everything that matters, Junho said. His father's laugh was cruel. And when the money runs out, when that woman realizes you've given up billions for her, how long before she resents you? She won't. You're a fool. Maybe. Junho straightened his shoulders. But I'm a fool who knows what actually matters. And it's not this. He walked out of the office, out of the estate, and didn't look back. Now he just had to pray that Diana would give him a chance to prove he'd chosen right. That she hadn't given up on them completely, that he wasn't already too late. Diana was working the dinner shift at the diner when the door chimed. She didn't look up, just grabbed her pad and called out, "Sit anywhere. I'll be right with you. I'll take the corner booth, if the waitress doesn't mind serving me." Her pen clattered to the floor. She spun around, and there he was. Junho Park, looking exhausted and rumpled in jeans and a wrinkled shirt she'd never seen him wear. His hair was messy, he had 2 weeks of stubble, and he was the most beautiful thing she'd ever seen. "What are you doing here?" Her voice came out strangled. "I chose you." He took a step closer, and every customer in the diner was suddenly very interested in their conversation. "I chose you, Diana. I walked away from everything. The company, the marriage, my family. I chose you and Ruby, and I need you to give me a chance to prove it." Diana's hands shook. "You can't just show up here and—" "I resigned. Told my father I wouldn't marry Sunhee. He disowned me on the spot." Junho pulled papers from his jacket, laid them on the nearest table. "These are legal documents transferring my shares to my cousin. I kept enough to be comfortable, but the empire, the legacy, I gave it all up. Why?" Tears were streaming down her face now. "Why would you do that? Because loving you isn't a sacrifice. It's the first real choice I've ever made." He crossed the space between them, and she didn't pull away when he cupped her face. "Because Ruby asked me before I left if I was going to be her dad for real, and I want to answer yes. Because I've spent 2 weeks in Seoul feeling like I couldn't breathe without you." "You got engaged," Diana whispered. "I saw the photos. Photos my father released without my permission. I never agreed, never signed anything, never touched her." His thumbs wiped her tears. "The only woman I want to touch is you. The only family I want is you and Ruby. The only life I want is whatever we build together." Diana's boss called out, "Honey, take your break. We've got this covered." The entire diner murmured agreement, some people openly crying. Junho pulled Diana outside into the parking lot, where the Portland rain was just starting to fall. "I bought a house," he said, pulling up photos on his phone with shaking hands. "In Boston. It's close to a great school district for Ruby. Near Boston University, where you could finally get your degree. There's an office for me to run my consulting firm. I'm starting over, building something new, something that's actually mine." "You bought a house?" Diana couldn't process it. 4 bedrooms, big backyard, walking distance to a park. He scrolled through photos. "This room could be Ruby's. This one could be a guest room for Mrs. Chen when she visits. This one—" His voice softened. "This one could be a nursery. Someday. If you want." Diana's breath caught. "Junho!" I know I hurt you. I know I left when I should have stayed. I know trusting me again is asking everything. He pocketed his phone and took both her hands. But I'm here now, and I'm not going anywhere. I'm asking you to marry me, Diana. Not because it's convenient or expected, but because I love you so completely that nothing else makes sense without you. He dropped to one knee right there in the rain-soaked parking lot, and Diana gasped. From his pocket, he pulled a small velvet box. This isn't about money or status or anything except us. He opened the box to reveal a simple, elegant ring. Will you marry me? Will you let me spend the rest of my life proving I chose right? Will you let me be Ruby's father and your partner and the man who gets to wake up next to you every morning? Diana looked at him, this man who'd given up billions for her, who'd crossed the world twice because she and Ruby were his home, and suddenly all her fear evaporated. Yes. She laughed through her tears. Yes, you impossible, wonderful man, yes! Junho surged to his feet, slipping the ring on her finger before kissing her so deeply that the diner patrons watching through the window burst into applause. Diana kissed him back, tasting rain and salt and promise. I love you. She whispered against his mouth. I never stopped, even when I tried to. I know. He pressed his forehead to hers. Now, take me home. I need to see Ruby. I need to tell her I'm never leaving again. Ruby's reaction was everything. She'd been doing homework at Mrs. Chen's apartment when Diana and Junho walked in together and the little girl went completely still. You came back, she whispered. I came back. Junho knelt down. And I'm not leaving. Not ever. If you'll have me, I want to be your dad. For real. Forever. Ruby launched herself at him, sobbing. I thought you didn't want us anymore. Never? He held her tight, his own eyes wet. You and your mum are everything, everything that matters. And I'm sorry I left. I'm sorry I scared you. But I promise, I swear on everything. I'm here now, and I'm staying. Really? Ruby pulled back to look at his face. You're really going to be my dad? If your mum says yes to marrying me, which she did. He showed Ruby the ring on Diana's finger. Ruby screamed with joy, jumping up and down. Mrs. Chen cried. Diana watched Junho with her daughter and felt something settle deep in her chest. This was real. This was happening. They were going to be a family. The wedding was 6 weeks later in a small chapel in Portland. Diana wore a simple white dress that made Junho's breath catch when he saw her. Ruby was the flower girl in a pale pink dress, taking her job very seriously. Mrs. Chen cried through the entire ceremony. I, Junho, take you, Diana, to be my wife, he said, his voice steady and sure. I promise to choose you every day, to build our life together with honesty and partnership, to be the father Ruby deserves, to love you when it's easy and when it's hard, to never make you doubt that you're my whole world. Diana's vows were simpler. I promise to trust you, to let you love us, to build something beautiful with you, and to never let you forget that you're the best thing that ever happened to us. When the officiant said, You may kiss your bride, Junho pulled Diana close and kissed her like they were the only two people in the world. Ruby cheered. Mrs. Chen sobbed harder, and Diana thought, this is what forever feels like. 1 year later, Boston. Diana unlocked the door to their Boston home, arms full of textbooks from her morning classes at BU. She was exhausted from her sociology exam, but grinning because she'd aced it. I'm home, she called out. Kitchen! Junho's voice floated back. She found him at the island, laptop open, reviewing something while stirring pasta sauce. He'd ditched the designer suits for jeans and sweaters most days, working from the home office he'd built. His consulting firm was thriving, helping Korean companies expand to America. And he was happier than she'd ever seen him. How was the exam? He looked up, and the love in his eyes still made her breath catch. Perfect. How was your call with Tokyo? Signed the contract. He grinned. We're celebrating tonight. Where's Ruby? Soccer practice. Mrs. Chen's picking her up. He abandoned the sauce to pull Diana close, which means we have exactly 45 minutes alone. Diana laughed against his chest. 45 whole minutes. Whatever will we do? I have some ideas. His mouth found that spot on her neck that made her gasp. Starting with taking you upstairs. The pasta will burn. I don't care. He was already walking her backward toward the stairs. I've been thinking about you all day. About tonight. About celebrating our anniversary properly. Their bedroom was bathed in late afternoon light. Junho had already set up champagne on ice, rose petals on the bed. He'd planned this. You romantic, Diana murmured as he slowly unzipped her jacket. Only for you. His hands slid under her shirt, warm against her skin. Do you know what today is? Our anniversary. 1 year of being married, but also... He pulled back to look at her. 1 year and 3 months since a terrified little girl called the wrong number and changed my entire life. Diana's throat tightened. Best wrong number ever. The best. He kissed her softly. That call gave me everything. You, Ruby, this life, a reason to wake up excited every morning. I love you, Diana whispered. I love the life we built. Show me. His voice dropped to that rough velvet that made her melt. Show me how much. Diana pushed him back onto the bed, climbing over him with a smile that was pure heat. 45 minutes, you said. I can be quick. His hands gripped her hips as she ground against him. Or we can take our time and let the pasta burn. Take your time. She leaned down to kiss him, deep and demanding. We can always order pizza. Junho flipped them over, and Diana gasped as his weight pressed her into the mattress. His mouth traced down her throat, her collarbone, lower. Have I mentioned that I love you? Not in the last 5 minutes. Then I'm slacking. He looked up at her, eyes dark with desire and devotion. I love you, Diana Park. I love the life we're building. I love that Ruby calls me Dad now. I love watching you chase your dreams. I love everything about this messy, beautiful, unexpected life. Make love to me, Diana whispered. We can talk after. They came together with the desperate tenderness of people who'd fought for this, who knew how easily it could have been lost. Diana cried out as Junho moved inside her, as his hands found all the places that drove her wild, as they chased pleasure together like they'd done 100 times before and would do 1,000 times more. Later, tangled in sheets with champagne forgotten and pasta definitely burned, Diana traced patterns on Junho's chest. Do you ever regret it? She asked quietly, giving up everything. Every day, he said, and her hand stilled until he caught it, brought it to his lips. I regret that I didn't do it sooner, that I wasted even 2 weeks trying to make everyone else happy. But giving up money and status for you, never, not once. I'm pregnant, Diana blurted out. Junho went completely still. What? I found out yesterday, wanted to wait for today to tell you. She looked up at him nervously. We hadn't really talked about timing, and I know Ruby's still adjusting. He kissed her silent. When he pulled back, his eyes were wet. We're having a baby. We're having a baby, Diana. He cradled her face. You just made this the best anniversary in the history of anniversaries. She laughed, crying now too. Yeah? Yeah. He kissed her again, gentle and reverent. Thank you for this life, for trusting me, for taking a chance on the stranger who answered the wrong number. Best accident of my life, Diana whispered. Outside, They heard the front door open, Ruby's voice, calling out that she was home, Mrs. Chen asking about dinner. Junho and Diana looked at each other and started laughing. "Pizza?" he suggested. "Definitely pizza." They got dressed quickly, Diana stealing his shirt like always, and went downstairs to their daughter and their life and their beautiful, chaotic forever. Because sometimes the best things in life come from the most unexpected places. Sometimes a wrong number connects you to exactly the right person. Sometimes giving up everything leads you to having it all. And sometimes love is worth every risk. Thank you for staying with Diana, Junho, and Ruby's journey from one wrong number to forever. If your heart is full right now, if this story reminded you that real love is worth every risk, then you're exactly where you belong. Subscribe for more passionate love stories that prove the best things in life come when you least expect them. Stories about second chances, impossible choices, and the kind of love that changes everything. Drop a comment below, ladies. Where are you watching from? What moment made you believe in their love? Was it when he raced through Portland for strangers? When he walked away from billions? Or that rain-soaked proposal? And here's the real question. Do you believe a man can truly change his entire life for love? Or is that just a beautiful fantasy? We want to hear your wisdom. Hit that like button if you believe some people are worth risking everything for, and share this with a friend who needs to remember that fate works in mysterious ways, sometimes through a little girl's wrong number at midnight. Until next time, keep believing that the universe has bigger plans than we can imagine, and that sometimes the wrong path leads us exactly where we're meant to be. See you in the next story, ladies.